So today we're going to talk about Rh negative blood type in pregnancy. So when you go to your first prenatal checkup, one of the tests that will probably be performed is a blood test known as a type and cross match, which is basically just going to check for your blood type, but it's also going to identify what blood types you are compatible with. So it's important to note that we inherit our blood type from our biological parents, but that's not the only factor. Our blood type is determined by whether or not there are antigens on the surface of the red blood cell. And those antigens are known as either antigen A or antigen B. So if you take a look at the diagram here, we're going to go from left to right. The first picture indicates that if you have A antigen present on the surface of your red blood cell, you're going to have A blood type. B antigen present, you'll have B blood type. It is possible to have both A and B antigens present on the surface of the red blood cell. And if that is the case, you would have AB blood type, which is actually quite rare. And if you had neither A or B on the surface of your red blood cell, you would have O blood type. And I tend to remember that quite easily because O does look like a zero. So these antigens that are on the surface of the red blood cell are known as self-antigens, and they are recognized by the immune system from birth, which means that they're also protected at birth. And they're protected by special cells known as natural born antibodies. And what these antibodies do is circulate around our bloodstream and protect against any incompatible blood types and look at them as invaders. It's similar to that of an army because they stand guard and they wait to attack. So let's just recap real quick before we go any further. So our blood type is determined by the presence or absence of either A or B antigen, and they are known as self-antigens because they're protected at birth by special cells that will attack if there is any incompatible blood types that enter our bloodstream. Okay, so with that being said, similar to the antigen that determines our blood type, it is possible that another antigen be present on the surface of the red blood cell. And this antigen is known as antigen D. It is more commonly known as the Rh factor, and it's probably how you have heard it before, but that is actually just a nickname for rhesus factor. And there's a little fun fact here. The reason why this protein is actually called the rhesus factor, it's because it was first identified on the red blood cells of a rhesus monkey. Okay, so moving forward, if the D antigen is present on the red blood cell, you are considered to have positive blood type or BRH positive. And if the D antigen lacks or is absent from the red blood cell, you are considered to be negative blood type or Rh negative. So let's recap, but this time we're going to do it with a test. So, first question, if you have A antigen and D antigen on the surface of your red blood cell, what is your blood type? If you guessed A positive, you are correct. Question number two, if you have A antigen and B antigen present on the surface of your red blood cell, what is your blood type? If you answered A, B negative, you are correct. So, of course, there's a catch here. We do not have natural born antibodies to protect against the D antigen, which means that if a person that has negative blood comes in contact with a positive blood individual, their immune system will develop antibodies to protect them. So, kind of think about it like this. When you had the chicken pox, or if you had the chicken pox, your body developed antibodies to protect you if you were to ever come in contact with it again. Your immune system protects you because it is prepared by creating an army of antibodies to attack if the chicken pox were to enter your bloodstream again. This is significant only if you have negative blood type. I want you to understand that. So, simply stated, positive blood types can receive both negative and positive compatible blood, where negative blood types can only receive negative blood. So, let's recap, okay? If you have D antigen on the surface of the red blood cell, you are known as Rh positive. If you do not have D antigen on the surface of the red blood cell, you are known as Rh negative. Positive blood can get both positive and negative blood. Negative blood can only receive negative blood. So, the next question you're probably thinking of is, well, how does this affect my pregnancy? So remember before I stated that we inherit our blood types from our biological parents, right? So if the pregnant person has a negative blood type and the other parent has a positive blood type, there is a great chance that this baby will have positive blood. Now, it is very likely that the pregnant person's blood and baby's blood will not intermingle during pregnancy, but will during labor and delivery. So, something happening to your first baby is highly unlikely because your body will not create antibodies until after the birth. But the antibodies that are produced will remain in the bloodstream and will prepare to attack if D antigen does return, which means in your second pregnancy and all subsequent pregnancies, there is a risk that these antibodies can cause harm to you and your baby. So the next question is, well, how do I prevent this from happening, right? There are a few steps to this, and we have to peel back the layers. So the first thing is we want to determine if you have been exposed to the Rh factor. And the way that we can do that is by drawing your blood early in pregnancy to determine if there are antibodies. If no antibodies are present, blood draw would happen again at around 24 weeks and potentially multiple times in the third trimester to ensure that no antibodies have developed. At birth, the baby's blood type will be determined. And if baby's blood is positive, an injection known as RhoGAM can be given to prevent the development of antibodies, which could affect subsequent pregnancies. Now, according to the American College of Nurse Midwives, RhoGAM has been around for 50 years, and all people with negative blood type are advised to have this injection. RhoGAM can also be given prophylactically at 28 weeks and then again at postpartum. Like with any information, we encourage you to look over all of the information as well as doing your own research. That way, you can make the best decision possible for you and your baby. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation today. Thanks for listening.